All right, let's try this again for the second time. But welcome back, everybody, to part 15 of my 2026 VHS collection overview, or should I say, part 15 redo, or part 15 part 2 or part 2. So my dumbass fucked up. So I had already previously recorded this, and then my dumbass deleted the file by accident because I thought that I had already uploaded it, but I didn't. So here I am refilming part 15. So I pulled. Here is all the stuff that was in part 15 that I have to talk about again, and this is the stuff that was on where my hand is, this side of the pole up top, and then the stuff here, 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 and then out of frame here is the stuff that's on this side of the wall on the top of the front row. So I'm gonna do all that again, plus one actually, which we'll do first, and then we'll get into the stuff that I already talked about, and then hopefully my dumbass won't do this again while we're filming this, because I was pissed. I can't believe I did that. But at the end of the day, we are only human. We are only human. We all make mistakes. We are not perfect. So, it is what it is. All right. So first up, I did not talk about this one in the last go around of this video, because I actually watched this earlier before recording this video, and it is a bootleg of Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, but this is the original PG-13 uncut version of the movie. So yeah, it's just it was dubbed to a blank tape, actually from the screener. I had heard that the screeners of this movie were actually the original PG-13 uncut version, because they were made before the decision to pull the movie and re-edit down to what it originally came out as. I can confirm that, because this bootleg is just a dub of a screener copy. It still has all the text and everything in it. So now that I know that information, I would like to actually get one of the screeners so I can have the original version. But I did look on eBay. There's a couple on eBay, but I am not paying $100 to get it. You know, I'm good with this cheap $20 bootleg that I found a few years ago on eBay. But I absolutely love not only Batman Beyond, but the Return of the Joker movie. I first saw this actually when it came out. For those of you that don't know, this was a source of controversy, because Columbine had happened. Well, it's kind of weird, because the movie was supposed to come out in 2000. Well, I think it ended up coming out in 2000. It got pushed to December. It was supposed to come out Halloween 2000. I don't think it was supposed to go to theaters. I think it was just supposed to go straight to video. But Columbine had happened over a year prior, but I guess there was still residual effects, and then people were also like, well, it's supposed to be Batman, you know what I mean, and they're marketing violence to children and all that other shit that we had to deal with growing up in the 90s and the 2000s. But funnily enough, you don't really hear much about that anymore. So there you go. So they pulled the movie temporarily. They made changes, and it did come out in a edited form, but then a couple years later they did release it in its original uncut form, which was on DVD. The Blu-ray is the uncut. I don't think you can get the edited version anymore unless you go back and get the older VHS. I think even DVD. I've always had the uncut version. The only time I've ever seen the edited version was when the movie first came out. I did rent it when it first came out from the video store. That's the only time I've ever seen the edited family-friendly version. Ever since then, I had this on DVD, before, and it was the PG-13 cut. The Blu-ray is the PG-13 cut. I have this bootleg here, so this is the version that I prefer to watch. And when you watch it, like, I get it. I get what, I lived I lived through the Columbine tragedy and everything, and the fallout that came out of that about violent movies and TV shows. But if you watch it, it's really not that violent. It's not like people are exploding, and I think the biggest thing they made about the movie was the Joker, the Joker's death. In the original version, he gets shot with a harpoon gun, but you just see Tim Drake, Robin, you just see him shoot the harpoon, and it hits the Joker, but you don't see it go in, and he's got a little bit of blood on his lip, which is typically what they would do with the Batman, the older Batman animated stuff. But it's not like you saw it go in and then it came back out, and, it's really not that violent. But I guess Warner Brothers, DC, they just felt like, why don't we just kind of tone this down? But luckily, kind of the standard version has become that, so I guess people listened and they realized, like, okay, like, I get it, it's this awful tragedy happened. I'm not making light of that, but you just watch some of these movies and these TV shows and stuff, and stuff that they had to edit out, and then the uncut versions come out, and you're like, really, that's what was cut? Like Hard Target, they made such a big deal about Hard Target, and you watch the uncut version. I mean, yeah, there's blood, but it's a movie. It's not real. It's not like they really killed these people, and it's not like the blood was shooting all over the camera like where my hand is or what have you. It's like, come on. But oh well. All right, so that's the only new thing. So now I'm going to have to talk about this stuff again. So I will start over here with the stuff that was on this side of the shelf up top. So first up, I'm not sure if I talked about this. I couldn't remember if I did or not. It's not that big of a deal. But we have Martial Law 2 Undercover. Excuse me. Which I do quite like this movie. I do like the first Martial Law, but this one's better because, no disrespect, may he rest in peace, Chad McQueen was not his dad. They tried to make him like his dad. Apparently he felt like he was his dad. I know Gary Daniels said when they did Firepower, Chad McQueen was very much under the impression that he was going to be as big as his father was. Clearly that didn't happen, but Jeff Wincott was the better choice. And for the longest time, this was only available on VHS and Laserdisc. Vinegar Syndrome actually put this out on Blu-ray, and they did a pretty good job. They did the first two. Mission of Justice is technically the third movie in this franchise, but it's not ever labeled as such except overseas. Overseas it is called Martial Law 3, but I don't have Mission of Justice on VHS. Or the first one. I'll have to get the first one at some point. Alright, next up we have the original release. This is the original 1984, because they put it on the spine. They did not put it on the back. Release of Scarface, which of course came out on 2 tapes because the movie is nearly 3 hours. But the original release, they put each of the tapes in their own slipcover. The front is exactly the same, and it doesn't even say part 1 or part 2 on it. The spines do, as you can see there. And then there is some different artwork on the back. I think all future releases put them in the standard 2 tape in one slipcover, which I have the Godfather movie, the first 2 Godfather movies at least, and some of the other stuff that we covered in the last segment. The Dolph Lundgren box, little box set there. I think all future releases of Scarface had that kind of packaging. But this was actually given to me by a friend of mine. She was getting rid of a bunch of her VHS, and she actually had this. I think this was really the only one that I kept. Everything else was either stuff that I already had or stuff that I didn't want. I think this one was the only one I ended up keeping. So there you go. But she doesn't know that. So there's that. All right, then we have Guyver 2, Dark Hero. Gotta, at least for me, gotta have this one on VHS. I don't need the first one on VHS because other than the action scenes and the makeup, the second one is infinitely superior to the second one rather. Excuse me, is infinitely superior to the original. But basically, for those of you that don't know, Guyver. The movies are based on a Japanese manga and anime, and it's basically an R-rated Power Rangers. And funnily enough, Steve Wang worked on these movies, who would work on Power Rangers after this, which is interesting. Unfortunately, this one is stuck on DVD, which we covered in the DVD collection overview. If you guys want to go check that out, I heard Steve Wang said that they were working on a Blu-ray for this because the first one came out from a couple different labels. Arrow put a release out, Unearthed Films put a release out. Steve Wang said they were working on Guyver 2, Dark Hero, and I don't know if it stopped or got canceled or what the case was because I haven't heard any updates since then. But cannot go wrong with this. This movie kicks ass, and I wouldn't have known about these movies if it wasn't for Rambo Raff. Remember Rambo Raff for Life way back, talking about those the Guyver films, and I learned about them through him, and then went and checked them out on my own. So there you go. And then next up, we got some Robin Williams movies and stand-up here. So first up, and I think this is pretty much all I have of his on VHS. I need to change that, so my bad. So we have Mrs. Doubtfire. Can't go wrong. Yeah, because I don't have Good Morning Vietnam. I definitely like to get that. Dead Poets Society. Fisher King. Honestly, wouldn't mind getting that movie. Actually, no. We covered Have Good Will Hunting. So I do have some more, but out of like the solo, the movies that he starred in, where he was the focus, I don't have much, sadly, but you gotta have Mrs. Doubtfire. Can't go wrong. I did actually have this growing up as a kid on VHS, but it did not have the slipcover, did not have the box, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing, tomato. So I think I got rid of that when I got the movie on DVD, and then pick this back up. So because at that time I was not collecting VHS as I do now. So there you go. And then we have Jumanji, which is an absolute classic. I've had this since this went to sale at Blockbuster. September 20th, 1996 was the date that this was put out for sale. So there you go. I've had it ever since then. But love Jumanji, absolute classic. Fuck those shitty sequels that they ended up doing, because I think what it was, at least in my opinion, what was the movie they did before that they started doing? There was a movie, was it Goosebumps? I think honestly they made those Goosebumps movies and they looked at that and they said, oh well, we can do this with Jumanji and we could do sequels with Jumanji. Yeah. And to be honest, I wasn't, as much as I'm a big fan of Goosebumps, I did not really care for those Goosebumps movies. So there's that. And they were so good that no one's talked about them since they came out. So there you go. And then we have Robin Williams Live, which this is, the album was called, I think, Live at the Met, or Live from the Met, which was the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City. But this is classic. This is my favorite Robin Williams stand-up, so it's good to have this one on VHS. There's a box set that came out that has all of the Robin Williams stand-up specials and a bunch of extra features and stuff. I do want to get that. I don't have that yet, but they did one also for George Carlin. I would like to get that too, but not today, not right now. Then we have Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Gotta have this. Absolute classic. I think this is a 90s release, so this is not the original release, but that's okay. Cannot go wrong with Ferris Bueller. Certainly a movie that needs no introduction or any mention or anything. Sorry, got some Coca-Cola here because you can't go wrong with Coke Classic either. But yeah, Ferris Bueller's a classic. Even though, as a person, Matthew Broderick is a dick because he killed people in a car accident and nothing happened. So there you go. But if I did that or you did that, we'd go to jail for the rest of our lives. So there's that. All right, next up we've got some Howard Stern here. I used to be a Howard Stern fan. I'm not anymore because the more that I found out about him and the older that I got and the more that I learned about him, the less that I liked. And also, when he went over to Sirius XM, he became a billionaire. Everyone said he changed. Everybody said, he was completely different. Now he's the guy that he used to make fun of. And then he went all woke and everything to cover up all the shit that he said in the past. Again, this was the guy that would talk about how hot the Olsen twins were when they were kids, and after Selena died, he's like, oh, it's the worst music ever, and then he played all these gunshots. And speaking of Columbine, after Columbine, he said that the shooter should have raped all the girls before they killed them, and and never apologized for any of this stuff. He never, they took his show off the air temporarily, or he'd lose coverage in certain markets, but then he'd be back on the air in a couple weeks or whatever, and but he's woke, guys, and the only reason why he said that is so that nobody would go and find all this stuff and then try to cancel him again. So there you go. But fuck Howard Stern. But I do have private parts because at the end of the day, this is a movie. Okay, it's a fantasy. It's not real. The movie's not actually how it happened and everything. So there you go. But it's a movie. So it's funny because when I was recording this last, I said, we have the family-friendly version, which, some of the video stores refuse to carry. But it's funny because I have the original theatrical poster, and this is from Blockbuster. So I don't know. I do remember. Right, actually, I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of. I do know that the reason why this cover came out is because there were certain video stores that objected to this, even though you don't see anything on here. Everything is covered up, and honestly, I think that's just Howard Stern's head is photoshopped to somebody else's body. So there you go. But it's just for whatever reason, there were people that complained about this, even though the movie had played in theaters with this poster and it was fine. There was no issue. So I have both of them. I think everything on the tapes is the same. I think the trailers and the previews is the same. The only thing that's different on the rear cover is the family-friendly color scheme is a little darker. It's like a darker shade of purple. And then the quote from the critic is different at the top. Other than that, everything is the same. The synopsis is the same. The pictures are the same and everything. So, yeah, whatever. Again, certain video stores had a problem. Clearly not Blockbuster. So that's why they got this one. Or maybe Walmart had a problem with it, or Kmart. I don't know. But again, you look at it and you don't. There's no nudity. It's just his chest. But again, it's not even him. It's clearly photoshopped. Sorry, I'm going to have to burp. So there you go. But, it's just, there's always been people that have to complain about everything, as you all very well know. And then I do have the A&E biography episode, because I actually do really like these. I've always really enjoyed these. I think the only other one that I have is the Jackie Chan one, which we'll get to much later. But I've always enjoyed these. So I try to pick these up when I find them on VHS or DVD, because they were putting these out on DVD, I think, through their website, through A&E's website. Is A&E even still on anymore? I don't even know, because we don't have cable anymore. So we just got rid of cable. I don't know why it took this long to get rid of cable, but we finally just got rid of cable. I don't watch. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually sat down and watched cable or watched television. If I'm watching something, or it's what you see in front of you here, it's what you've seen previously, or I'm playing a video game or what have you. So, or I'm watching something on my phone. I could not tell you again the last time that I actually sat down and turned on the television and watched what was on it. So we just finally got rid of cable. Thank God. I don't know why. Again, people don't listen when I talk, but now it's all we have the local channels, and then my mom, because she's a boomer, she has to watch the fucking news, and it's annoying. So there's that. Anyway, moving on. We have. Oh well, there was something I forgot to mention about this movie. So it's okay. See, it's not that big of a deal. Now I can add stuff to it. So there you go. But next up, excuse me, we have Clubhouse Detectives, which honestly, I know I talked about this with the DVD. This is not really a kid's movie. I mean, it deals with the kid watches his neighbor murder a woman, and then he has like nightmares of him finding the dead body, and they find the dead body. So it's not really a kid's movie, but you know, it was in the kids section at Blockbuster, and I want to say the Disney Channel showed this back in the day as well, because I think they had a deal with Apix Entertainment, because the next movie that I'm going to talk about is from the same company, so I think they had a deal with them to show their movies back in the day. But I do remember renting this from the video store back in the day quite a bit, and that is Michael Galliotta. Unfortunately, he passed away. He died a couple of years ago, but he was on the Disney Channel series The Jersey. He was in the movie Bushwhacked with Daniel Stern. There was a Sci-Fi Channel movie that he was in. I can't remember the name of it, from around this time. And that's his brother as well, and they play brothers in the movies. But also, this kid right here in the orange is not in the movie. I don't know where they got this photo or whatever, but that kid is not in the film, so I don't know what was up with that. And this is from Blockbuster when they were getting rid of all their tapes. The DVD is pretty difficult to get a hold of. I looked around and, was able to find one decently priced, but if you're looking to get that movie, I don't know what the VHS prices look like, but yeah, you might want to shop around a little bit, because that one can get pretty expensive. And then this movie was the same deal, where it was made by the same company, and it's not technically a Disney Channel original movie, but they would show it a lot on there, and it's Punks, which I quite enjoyed this one. Always have quite enjoyed this. I mean, can you really go wrong with Fonzie as a bad guy? I mean, come on now, it's Henry Winkler. But you got Patrick Renna from The Sandlot in there. You got Brandon Baker, who would later be in Johnny Tsunami. Jessica Alba, when she was first starting out, before she was a total pain in the ass. So there you go. But this one's really fun. I always quite enjoyed this. And yeah, I do have this one on DVD. I think it's out of print, but I think it's pretty easy to get a hold of. But I got this at one of the local mom and pop places that used to be around when we would rent from them. I guess they were selling their stock off. It's funny because when they went out of business, the only stuff that he sold was stuff that he had duplicates of, and it was mostly newer films. Because I remember being bummed out because there was a lot of older movies I wanted to get, but he was only selling, I think, VHS, but it was just the duplicates. I don't think he was selling any of the DVDs, because he was starting to get into DVD, because I remember seeing the Good Times releases of Halloween 2 and 3. That's where I first saw those back in the day. That's how I first learned about Slumber Party Massacre, because he had those Massacre DVDs, which are hard to get now, even though the first two, actually I think all three of the Slumber Party Massacres are on Blu-ray, and the first Sorority House Massacre. So I don't know why those DVDs are so expensive, but I guess because it's cult classic horror from the 80s, I suppose. Well, yeah, he started to get into DVD, and then he went out of business. But like I said, I want to say most of the stuff he kept. I think the only stuff he sold when the store went out of business was all the duplicates. And then after he died, which is a very crazy fucking story, which I've told before, but I'm not going to tell now. After he died, I had heard that his daughter, because he kept everything, he kept pretty much everything. I heard his daughter tried, I think she sold all of it off, and I wish I would have known, because I at least could have bought some stuff off of her, but, it's too late now. Oh well. Anyway. Alright, so next up, we got some Sandler movies here. Adam Sandler, that is, unless there's another Sandler that we're talking about. I do have more in the other room. I just have not watched them yet. I have pretty much all the major movies in the other room. I think maybe The Waterboy I don't have. I think that might be the only one. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll get into those later. But I did have most of them on VHS, and then when I was starting to get a little older and was able, got jobs and stuff and was able to get DVDs, I got most of them on DVD and got rid of the tapes. But I think, like I said, I think I pretty much have all the major Adam Sandler stuff. There might be, Waterboy might be the only one that I don't have. I have to, when we get into those, we'll get into anyway. But these are the couple that I've already watched. So first up, we have Airheads, which this one, I don't know what the VHS prices are now. I'm sure that's expensive, but this is on Blu-ray. I do have the Blu-ray, but the Blu-ray's out of print. I think even the DVD has really shot up. And the Laserdisc, like, why is the Laserdisc for Airheads $50? Like, it's crazy. I love this movie. I do. I feel it. Hold on. There it is. I love this movie, but I'm not paying $50 to get it on Laserdisc. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? But I have it on VHS and Blu-ray. I'm good for now. And then we have Billy Madison, which was technically, well, it's not his first starring role. His first starring role was Going Overboard, but this is, a lot of people consider this to be his first starring role, and even though it doesn't say it on the back here. And this is where his movie career kicked off, so there you go. But Billy Madison is a classic. There was one summer I'll never forget. I want to say it was 2002, 2003, somewhere in there. Billy Madison was on USA Network every fucking day. You could not get away from it. It was on, and I think I even rented the VHS too for whatever reason. But yeah, there was one summer. It was never not on TV. I think same with this one. Same with Happy Gilmore. Yeah, because USA Network just ran the shit out of a lot of these Adam Sandler movies. They ran the shit out of. So there you go. Like Bulletproof. I do remember Bulletproof being on there quite a bit as well. But like I said, there was one summer where it was just Billy Madison non-stop. So you could not get away from it. But that, because there probably was an Adam Sandler. Like I think 50 First Dates had come out at that point, or it was about to come out. You got fucking Blu-ray. I have one of these because I bought a Blu-ray and it just kept it as an extra because I don't really use them. But got shit coming alive to kill me. There we go. Anyway, talking about how Billy Madison was on every day. So there's that. Oh, good googly moogly, in the words of Owen Hart. Next up, I do have the Karate Kid movies on VHS. So, of course, you have the original Karate Kid, which this is the original RCA Columbia release, which I love. I do love these old school releases. But the problem with this one is some moron cut the flap off because I guess they got tired of opening the flap every time they wanted to watch the movie because they're fucking lazy. Shocked, I know. But there you go. But you can't go wrong with Karate Kid. Then we have Karate Kid Part 2, which was always my favorite. Again, original RCA Columbia release here. This one actually has the flap, so there's that. But yeah, Karate Kid Part 2, again, was always, I know I've talked about this Laserdisc Blu-ray, but this one was always my favorite. This is the other one. I think this was the one that was always on TV. Like, I remember this one always being on TV growing up, whether it was HBO or cable. I think even Disney Channel used to run it quite a bit back in the day. They ran 3 a lot, which we'll get into in a moment here. But Karate Kid 2 was always my favorite. I do want to get that 4K set because all the movies had new features, but they were only on the 4Ks. And on the Karate Kid 3 4K, it actually has the cartoon, which is the only time I think it's come out officially. So there's that. But then we do have Karate Kid Part 3. Yeah. Trust me, Ralph Macchio is the one who was disappointed in this movie the most. When I met him, we were talking about like Cobra Kai and stuff, because I think season 5 of Cobra Kai had just come on, and we were talking about that, and he goes, I really wanted to do Cobra Kai to make up for Karate Kid 3. I'm like, well, at least the check cleared. And he started laughing. He goes, yeah, you should see the house that I bought with the money that I made from that movie. He goes, I still live in it. I said, well, that's good. So there you go. Now, what's interesting about this VHS, again, this is the original RCA Columbia release, but they had changed up the packaging, the artwork and stuff on here. But this and Ghostbusters 2 were experiments. They were trying to push out widescreen in the late 80s, and it even tells you on here special theatrical presentation format, and then on the back it says at the request of the filmmakers, Karate Kid Part 3 is presented in the letterbox format, which displays the movie's complete theater screen image for your enhanced video viewing enjoyment. The black bars bordering the top and the bottom of the image area are normal for this format. But the problem was they didn't tell people that they were going to do that, and people started freaking out and thought their tapes were fucked up, so they returned all these tapes. And then I think eventually they told people what was going on, and then that was the only time that they did it. So I guess, again, because Laserdisc at that point, I think Criterion and stuff had come out at that point, and they were already doing widescreen, so I guess they were trying to compete with that. But people freaked out. They thought the tape was broken or something. It was a defect. So they returned a lot of them because they didn't tell people they were doing it. And also in 1989, big screen TVs were not a thing yet. So certainly not flat screen TVs. That wasn't until the late 90s. But oh well, God bless them for trying. So there's that. I think the Ghostbusters 2 that we covered in the box set, I think that might be widescreen. No, I think that one's in full screen because I think that was a later release. I'd love to get the original release of Ghostbusters 2 on VHS. I had it at one point. I had the original box set that they did for the 2 movies, but those are the first Ghostbusters got destroyed somehow. And then Ghostbusters 2, because I didn't have the boxes anymore, I got rid of it when I got the DVD. But I'd love to get those again. And then, of course, we have the next Karate Kid, which I would say is infinitely better than the 3rd movie. And then we have the delicious Hilary Swank in it, so there's that. But I've always enjoyed this one. I had this one as my mom recorded it on a blank VHS. And for the longest time, that was the only Karate Kid film that I owned physically. I didn't get the rest of them till DVD when they did that DVD box set. Probably about over 20 years ago now. I remember going to a Target, I think, and using Christmas money to get that because I didn't have any of the movies at that point. So, there you go. And I think it had just come out too. Alright, so I'm not going to grab all of them because, well, maybe I can. Knock on wood. Don't fall. Alright, thank you for not falling. But I have the majority of the Shining Time Station VHS. I think there's just 2 that I don't have. And of course, those are the 2 that are the hardest to get a hold of. So first up, I do the first 4 that you will see here. Excuse me. Thought it was the second one coming. These actually were from my grandmother. She had these. I would always, one of the things that I would always look forward to when I would go to their house is I was able to watch these. So there you go. And for the longest time, I would ask her. I said, "Grandma, can I have them? Can I have them? Can I have it?" And she would say, "No, when you're older, And then when I got older, no, it's not time yet. And then towards the end of her life, she's like, "You know what? You can have those. You can have whatever you want." So I was like, "Hell yeah!" So I did have. Well, I'll get to that in a second here, but these four from her, and then there's another one, which we'll get into. But these are the episodes, and I think these are all from the third season. I think that's most of the VHS that came out. The ones that were from a previous season, I'll point that out. So we have Volume 1, Stacy Cleans Up. There was another release that came out. This is a beautiful painted artwork. I love that on there. It's awesome. But there was another release that came out where it was a photo. It was a photo cover. I don't have those anymore, these are much nicer. These are classier, so I can't complain. All the on-tape content was the same. It's just the artwork was different. And then same with Volume 2, Schemer Alone. They did the same thing where they did an alternate version. Well, not all, but they did another version where it was a photo artwork. They only did that for the first two. I can't talk. It's Monday. But I do have my caffeine, so there's that. But I prefer the painted artwork. It's just nicer presentation, a little classier there. You can't go wrong. And then we have Volume 3, Bully for Mr. Conductor. There's that. And then we have Volume 4, Becky Makes a Wish. So those are all from Grandmom, and then the other three I got elsewhere. Now you will notice something. You might ask, where's Volume 5? There is no Volume 5. For whatever reason, I don't know why they skipped over Volume 5. So there's only 3 more in terms of the episodic releases. So we have Volume 6, because for whatever reason they skipped over Volume 5. Billy's Party. And I think I got all these off of eBay, if I'm not mistaken. Some of these are still harder to find, because this show has never come out on DVD. From what I understood, Britt Alcroft, who was who was the lady that created Thomas the Tank Engine, she has since passed away. But from what I understood when she was alive, she actually really enjoyed this. She thought they did a good job. There's actually behind-the-scenes footage here on YouTube of her on the set. But for whatever reason, it never came out on DVD. I don't know why. A lot of the UK Thomas stuff came out on DVD. But even then, not all of it. And most of the releases that came out were just random compilations. I think the first season came out on DVD, but that was it. As far as I know. But these they were here on YouTube, but a lot of it got pulled off. But if you go in the Internet Archive, they're all there. So I pulled everything off of there and made my own sets. Because I remember for years and years and years and years wanting to get these and finding, shitty recordings, on YouTube, and the quality was terrible and stuff. But the version that's up there on the archive, it's all from production copies. So I guess somebody had worked on the show, had got everything on tape, and it's all on there, which is cool, because that was one of the shows for years and years and years I was hoping would leak out or come out in some way, shape, or form, and luckily it did. So there you go, because this was in addition to Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles and Batman and Batman and everything else, this was certainly one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. So I'm glad that it's out there now, as a bootleg, but it's better than nothing. But I don't know why this has never come out on DVD. I don't know why. I don't know if there's issues with licensing or actually probably the music. It's probably because of all the music, I would assume. But I don't know. I would love to know the reason why, but we'll see. Then we have Volume 7, Mr. Conductor's Evil Twin, which of course was played by George Carlin. And that's the thing for me, is you got George Carlin to play Mr. Conductor, which apparently he loved the fact that kids would recognize him and come up to him and call him Mr. Conductor. He really enjoyed that. And when they were getting ready to make this show, well, no, not true, because Ringo Starr did the first 2 seasons, I think, or the first season. And then he went back to playing music full time. And then George Carlin came in and they asked all these parent groups, like, are you okay with that? And they said, yeah, why not? I mean, it's George Carlin. And you have to remember, he was a brilliant performer and he could do all different levels of stuff. So there you go. And then we have Volume 8, Schemers Special Club. So that's the 7 episodic releases that came out, the regular series or what have you. And again, I believe all those episodes are from the 3rd season. And then we have the holiday special. I don't remember which release this is because there's 2 releases and they're both different in the way that the Thomas stories are different. So I would like to get the other release at some point here. Maybe this holiday season I'll pick it up. Because again, the Thomas stories are different with each tape. I believe this is the 2nd release. Because it says 1993 on here as the copyright. So yeah, I believe again this is the 2nd version. Now the episode is the same, but the Thomas stories are different. And this is from the 1st season because you can see Ringo's star on the back there. And also the front as the animated Mr. Conductor. And then Lloyd Bridges is in this as Santa Claus, which is cool. And then we have, this only came out in the TV Teddy series. Now, TV Teddy was a toy that came out back in the day, back in the 90s, where it was trying to be interactive and the teddy bear would try to interact with the video or something. I looked into it. It didn't really make much of sense to me, and I don't think it did well. So it didn't really happen. But they did get Sweet and Sour, which I believe this is from the 2nd season. It's either the 2nd or the 3rd season. I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say it's the 2nd season, though. But this only came out in the TV Teddy. But I love that artwork. That beautiful painted artwork when they used to do that. They don't do that anymore. Now everything's AI and it's gay. I did find this one luckily at a Goodwill, which was cool. And then we have kind of the special miscellaneous here. My grandmother had this one. But this is the Jukebox Puppet Band, A Day in the Life. This is the 1st volume. They did do 2 other tapes. Sing Songs and Lullaby are the other 2 that came out. Those 2 are still, to this day, 30 years later, over 30 years later since this show ended, those 2 are still the most difficult ones to get. When they pop up on eBay, they do not last long. I think the last time one of them popped up, I put it in my watch list, and then 30 minutes later it sold, so I should have just grabbed it, but oh well. So those are the only 2 that I don't have. So there's that. And then we have Schemer Presents The World According to Me, Volume 1, which on the home video releases of the 7 episodic releases, they would include this Schemer Presents segment where he would teach you how to do something or whatever as a bonus. I think this VHS has some of the ones that were on there, and then there's some that are exclusive to this. So there you go, which is very cool. Excuse me, I'll take a swig of Coca-Cola in a minute here. But very cool, and it's funny because Brian O'Connor, who played Schemer, I believe he produced and wrote, and I think he even directed a lot of these segments because they were done, I think, later, a little bit later on. So I think he pretty much did everything. I think they just kind of let him go. Of course, he wasn't running the camera because he had to be in front of it, but I believe he ended up directing some of it too, which is cool. But Brian O'Connor was in Beverly Hills Cop 2 before. He was a comedian back in the 80s. There was one of the young comedian specials I remember watching a rerun of on HBO, and he was in it, and I thought that was crazy. But the first time I saw Beverly Hills Cop 2, I was like, that's fucking Schemer from Shining Time Station. But after Shining Time Station ended, he retired from show business, and he ended up going back to school, and he is now a guidance counselor, which is very cool. So yeah, very, very nice. From what I understand, he still loves that people want to talk to him and the fans want to meet him and message him, and he's very proud of what he did on Shining Time Station, which was awesome. So very cool to hear. All right, so then we got another little stack here of the stuff that was over here, and then we'll get into this stuff, which is on top here, and then we'll be done, and we'll go from there. So hopefully I don't have to reshoot everything, but we'll see what happens. All right. So first up, we have Big Night. Great movie. Really enjoyed this film. Nice little independent comedy drama about a family, an Italian family, trying to keep their restaurant going. I think it takes place in the 50s or the early 60s. It doesn't say on the cover, but I'm pretty sure it takes place in that time period. It's been quite a while since I've seen this. But really good movie. Definitely need to pick this up on Blu-ray. Great soundtrack as well. I do have the soundtrack for this on vinyl because they did put it out as a Record Store Day title a couple of years ago. But still cool. Really good movie. Really good film, at least in my book. And then I have the other Kickboxer sequels. We already covered Kickboxer 5 earlier. But we have Kickboxer 2, The Road Back, which these are okay. I don't mind these movies for what they are. I just wish that they got somebody besides Sasha Mitchell, because every time I see Sasha Mitchell, I think of Cody from Step by Step. Dude, yeah, really? Like, oh, I'm a stoner. Like, that's what I think of. And apparently, Sasha Mitchell is not a very nice person in real life, so what a shock. And apparently he was very difficult to work with making these movies. What a shock. Anyway, then we have Kickboxer 3, The Art of War, which on the back it says the official sequel to Kickboxer and Kickboxer 2, because in the 90s, there was a million kickboxing movies coming out. So you had, Kickboxer with Van Damme, and then you had American Kickboxer, then you had Desert Kickboxer, you had College Kickboxers. So you had because kickboxing was popular, at that time. Muay Thai had really become popular here in America and in the West in general, and then the UFC started, and it just became really big, and they cashed in on it. What a shock. And then also Van Damme's probably the most ripped off action star, because you had all these movies that had blood in the title. After Bloodsport came out, you had Blood Fist, Blood Feud, Blood Fight, Blood this, Blood that, Kickboxer, Cyborg, all this shit. So there you go. Now a lot of them are not very good. There's some that are good, but most of them are not good. So there you go. Anyway, and then we've got Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor. I also don't like the fact that how they killed off Van Damme's character in the second. He just gets shot in the face. Apparently, from what I understand, Van Damme wanted to do a Kickboxer 2. I think there were some scripts that he had gotten or he was working on, and then he got frustrated, and then he went and did Double Impact instead, which is way better than Kickboxer 2, I'll say that. So instead of just saying his character is off doing something else, they killed him off and they shot him in the face, which I always thought was stupid. And then in Kickboxer 5, because Sasha Mitchell didn't want to come back, or he refused to come back, or they didn't want to pay him or whatever, then they did the same thing to his character. They shot his character. I'm like, what the fuck? Why did they got to do this? Like, that's stupid how they do that. I think I have Desert Kickboxer on VHS with Superboy. John Himes Newton is in it, or John Newton Himes, or whatever his name is. I think I have that. We'll get to that later, but oh well. Alright, now we got some good old classic Christian metal here. We got Striper Expo 2000 from Persephone, New Jersey. And this was the first time Striper had played in, I think, 10 years. This has never come out on DVD. I think this is kind of one of those fan club bootleg type of VHS, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I've ever watched it, to be honest, but at least that's what it certainly looks like. So we'll give this a look sometime soon here. But I love Striper, great band. Still out there making great music and putting out good records every couple years. So there you go. And then I do have the other two Mask animated series VHS that came out. The pilot was in the thicker, harder case. We already covered that, but these are the other two. So first up, we have Baby's Wild Ride, which is Volume 2. So you have the episode of the same name, and then The Terrible Twos is the second episode on here. I think these are all of them. I think they only did 3. That's 4. I always do that. I think they only did 3 VHS. I think I have all of them. Then they did some laser discs here in America. I don't have those. And then they did the first season box set in Japan, which I have that. And then we have the third volume, which is Somebody Stop Me, because of course. There you go. And the episodes on here is Sister Mask and Shadow of a Skillet. So there you go. I have not watched these in forever, so I'd like to watch all of this stuff. But time. The immortal enemy, my friends, time. So there you go. Then I have a couple more Mighty Max VHS. We already covered the thought it was in the front here. It's not. The Skullmaster trilogy. We already covered that one. And then these are the only other two that I have. I think they did 5 or 6. They're very difficult to get a hold of. They're very hard to find. But the 3 that I have in my collection, I think, are the easier ones to get a hold of. So we have the Brain Suckers Cometh and Norman's Conquest is this one. Double feature VHS. And then we have The Mother of All Adventures and Rumble in the Jungle. So again, those are the only 3 that I have, and this is another show that for whatever reason has never come out on DVD. I do not know why. It's a Film Roman title, which I know they're not around anymore. I don't know where that stuff ended up. I think the Mask cartoon was Film Roman as well. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. So I don't know where their stuff ended up. But yeah, this is another cartoon that I really enjoyed as a kid. So much to the point where I gave my brother the name Norman after, after Norman from the show. It's not my brother's name, but I thought it was his name, But yeah, and I know a lot of people actually really like that show. I don't know why that's never come out on DVD. I believe all the episodes are here on YouTube, but it's all bootleg VHS quality. That's all we're going to have for now, It's sad, but it is what it is. All right, and then the last couple here, and then we'll move on to this side of the wall. We have School of Rock. I almost said Schoolhouse Rock. I don't have... Maybe I do. Maybe I have one Schoolhouse Rock VHS. I have the DVD set, but I almost said Schoolhouse Rock, which I love Schoolhouse Rock. I actually just watched all those recently because it's only all of it's only 2 hours. But School of Rock, love School of Rock. Unfortunately, I did not see this in the theater. I did see this when it first came out on VHS, and loved it ever since. Even though Jack Black is a professional retard now, so there you go. But great movie, can't go wrong. Then we have Waxwork. This is the unrated version, which I think has always been available very easily. VHS days, there was the R-rated version and then the unrated version. The Laserdisc was the unrated version. I think the old double feature DVD was the unrated cut, even though it said it was the R-rated cut. So luckily, the unrated version of this movie has always been easily accessible. I found this at a Goodwill, actually, which is cool. But always really liked Waxwork. I do have Waxwork 2 on VHS. I just haven't watched it yet. It's in the other room. I like both. I like the first one a little bit more than the second, but they're both good. I do enjoy them quite a bit. So there you go. Sorry. Then we have Adventures in Babysitting, which is an all-time classic as far as I'm concerned. This is a movie, another one that I would just constantly always watch. It was just always on TV as a kid. I remember renting it on VHS back in the day quite a bit as well. And I did watch this a couple months ago, and I hadn't watched it in forever, and I forgot how good it was. And I love that feeling when you watch a movie that you have not seen in forever, and you just remember how good it is, and you get all warm and fuzzy inside, and that's the way it should be as far as I'm concerned. Alright, and the last one from behind me here is the Flamingo Kid, which my dad actually got this at a pawn shop. I do remember going camping, and then we went to one of the nearby towns, and they had a pawn shop, and my dad picked this up. But you can't go wrong with classic Vestron video there. Love the old school Vestron titles. Actually, Waxwork is a Vestron title, at least that release. I don't know if it got re-released or not. And for those of you that don't know, Flamingo Kid is actually the first movie to be rated PG-13, but it was not the first to be released because it was delayed. Red Dawn was the first to be released with the PG-13 rating, but this one actually was the first one to get the rating, but it didn't come out till after Red Dawn because it was delayed for whatever reason. So there you go. But classic movie, cannot go wrong with Adventures in Babysitting. All right, so we're just going to, you know what? We're just going to roll. We're going to roll and we're going to do this. So the stuff that you see here, and then there's another stack out of frame, is the front row of the top. So on this wall, it's two stacks of two. So it's top and bottom, and then the ones that I had in the front we already covered. So I got about 3/4 of the shelf off. So we'll run through these, and then we'll reconnect in part 16, and I'll do the other quarter of the shelf, and then we'll move to the bottom, and then we'll do the back two, and then we'll go in the other room. So we're almost done in this room, so we'll see what happens. But first up, off of this side of the room, this side of the street, so to speak, unfortunately, these are the only two Ernest movies I have on VHS. I think all of the movies are on VHS, and then some of the other stuff, like the commercial compilations, is. But sadly, I only have these two. I only have Ernest Saves Christmas and Ernest Scared Stupid, which this box has definitely seen better days, but the tape plays fine. There's no issues with the tape. Just, again, a lot of these kid movies, the boxes aren't exactly in the best condition, including some of my own, so there's that. But yeah, I love Ernest. I miss Jim Varney. Like I said, I definitely need to get the other Ernest stuff that's out there. Alright, then we have it's very rare that this happened, but we have the European theatrical cut of Salem's Lot, the movie, which they did, the Warner Brothers hits. When they did the re-release, they chose this version for whatever reason. The original release of Salem's Lot was the full-length miniseries, which I did have that at one point. Got rid of it, but I did get it again. I just haven't watched it yet. But I love the original Salem's Lot. I like that it's a slow burner. It's a haunted house type of movie. Tobe Hooper directed it. I do enjoy that. Why they released this version, I don't know. But for the longest time, this was the only way that you could get this version here in America. But the 4K that's just about to come out from Arrow Video will have this version on there. So still going to keep this VHS, not going to get rid of it. But for a while, this was a little bit rare. This was a little bit hard to come by because, again, this was the only version, the only release of the shorter theatrical cut. Because a lot of times back in the day, for those of you that don't know, the TV miniseries or TV series in general, they would edit, kind of features. They would edit the miniseries down and release them as movies in Europe, because it just played better that way, to be honest, at least for that market. So there you go. But unfortunately, a lot of those movie edits and stuff never came out here in the States. So Salem's Lot is one of the rare exceptions of that. Like I said, that one at one point was a little rare, a little hard to come by, but now it's coming out on the 4K. So still cool though. Next up, another cartoon from my childhood that I absolutely love that has never come out on DVD, but Life with Louie. This is For Pete's Sake. Unfortunately, also, there's only one other VHS that came out. That one's pretty hard to come by, too. I can't seem to get that one. But I've had this one forever. I got this at a Kmart back in the day. So there you go. But love this show. I miss Louis Anderson. Always really enjoyed his comedy. Of course, this was my introduction to him, and some with a lot of other people. So there you go. But love Life with Louis. Sadly, again, not. I don't know why. I know when Louis Anderson was alive, he was trying to get it out on DVD. He was, talking to whoever and trying to get it out there, but it just. I don't know if they just fell on deaf ears or they just said no or what the case was. Excuse me, but they never put it out. I think it's all here on YouTube. I think the quality is actually quite decent as well. But unfortunately, no official DVD. I don't know why. But oh well. And then I have Detroit Rock City, which I love this movie. One of the best soundtracks of all time, if I do say so myself. And we got two different versions here. This is I think they came out the same time, because the copyright says 2000. Actually, no, it doesn't. Hold on. Okay. See, the first time I did this, I thought it was, but it's not. Okay, so this is the first verse. This came out in 99. Because I was going to say, because the movie came out in August, and then it came out on, I know it came out on VHS before the end of the year, because I remember Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, came out on VHS, I think, right around Christmas, and that had the trailer for this was on that VHS, and I think it had come out around the same time. See, I knew I wasn't crazy, or maybe I am, or what have you, but this is the first release. So we got red artwork here, and this is a Blockbuster rental. And then this is the second release, which came out in 2000. So I would assume that's Detroit. I don't know. I've never been to Detroit. But we got kind of like the photoshopped artwork here. Found this at a Goodwill. But there's some extra features on here, which is not on the other tape. This one has the music video for Everclear's cover of The Boys Are Back in Town. And then Learn How to Play Rock and Roll All Night on guitar. So there's that. But I love this movie. Of course, I'm a big Kiss fan, so it helps, but it's a really fun movie, and it's funny as well, so I can't complain. Alright, then we have The Mighty Ducks, because contrary to what people believe, the first Mighty Ducks only came out as a slipcover. There is no clamshell for the first Mighty Ducks movie. Not that I know of, unless there was a rare version that came out or whatever that nobody's seen. As far as I know, it only got a slipcover release. So there's that. And speaking of Austin Powers, I do have the Austin Powers movies in the other room. I just haven't watched them yet, but I do have the other Mike Myers movies here. So first up we have Wayne's World, because you can't go wrong with Wayne's World. This is another tape that I remember everybody having back in the day. And I actually used to rent this quite a lot. Even though Wayne's World was another movie that was just constantly on TV, whether it was on HBO or cable or what have you. I do remember renting this one a lot as well. And I just noticed that this is from Blockbuster. I did not notice that till right now. And then, of course, I have Wayne's World 2. Can't go wrong with either of the Wayne's World movies, at least in my opinion. Love the first two. Well, there's only two. Oh my god. I love the Wayne's World movies. It would have been cool if they did a third one, but also, what if they did a third one and it sucked? So there's that. And then we have So I Married an Axe Murderer, which is my favorite Mike Myers film, because he gets to play a regular guy. Like, I know he plays his dad in the movie, but that's okay. But he plays a regular person. He's not playing a character or, something like that. Which I think probably hurt his career more than, other than the fact that he's a dickhead. Brilliant performer, brilliant comedian. I think he's one of the greatest comedic minds, at least in my opinion, but he was a dick, and that's why nobody wants to work with him anymore. But I think also the problem was he always wanted to play a character or something that he created and not just a regular person. I think that was also detrimental to his career as well. So there you go. All right. Then we got some Eddie Murphy here. Can't go wrong with Eddie. So, of course, we have 48 Hours, the movie that made him a star, classic. And this is a 90s release, so this is not the original release, but that's okay. It's because it's 48 Hours. And we've got Trading Places, another classic, and a Christmas movie. we watched this one at Christmas time. But I don't know, all this shit about blackface. How come they haven't canceled Dan Aykroyd for blackface? So there you go. But oh well. Merry New Year. That always cracks me up. And then of course we have The Golden Child, because you gotta have the Golden Child. Can't go wrong. I want the knife. Then we got another 48 Hours, which is a good sequel. I do like it. Again, like with Wayne's World and some of these other movies where there was only two. It would have been cool if they did a third one, but I guess it just didn't work out or wasn't in the cards. And even though this is an example of a movie where they cut everything out at the last minute, I still like it for what it is. I would love to see that footage or that version. I don't think it's going to happen, but, you never know. You never know. And then we have Metro, which is probably Eddie Murphy's most underrated film, at least in my opinion. Absolutely love Metro. We already covered the Beverly Hills Cop movies because I have the box set. There's still some Eddie Murphy movies I would like to get. I think I have Eddie Murphy Raw. I need to get Delirious. I think Raw is in the other room. Distinguished Gentleman, definitely an underrated film. I'd like to get that. Dr. Dolittle. Boomerang was good. The First Nutty Professor. I already said Dr. Dolittle. What the hell is the other movie? Vampire in Brooklyn, which is okay. I don't mind it. So there's that. You know what? I will do these next 5, and then we'll wrap this up because I don't want to go too long. And the next segment, we'll finish this up, and then we'll start on the other side. Well, the other quarter. So, first up, we have Hellraiser, but this is before it was Anchor Bay, it was Star Maker and RNG Video. I think they had merged, but then Anchor Bay bought them out. But this is the Gold Series Collector's Edition, which does have a little bit of extra features on here, which is pretty cool. So you do get, I think, the trailer before the movie, and then you get the movie, and then it's interviews with Clive Barker, Andrew Robinson, Claire Higgins, and Ashley Lawrence. I believe the interviews on here have since come out on the various DVD and Blu-ray releases. Which ones off the top of my head, I'm not sure. But again, I think the interviews on here have since come out on DVD and Blu. So there you go. I've had this one for quite a while. I kept it. I had the R-rated cut of Hellraiser 2. I got rid of that. I do have the unrated version, which we'll get into later. That one I've had for quite some time, which is cool. All right, and then next up we have Street Hunter, which is one of the few movies that Steve James got to star in from American Ninja, even though it would appear that Reb Brown is on the poster more than the star, but oh well. But I do like this movie for what it is. I think the budget had shrunk and things changed and everything, because this was 20th Century Film Corporation, which was Menahem Golan's company after he left Canon Films, so I think they had similar problems. But it's okay. I do like it for what it is. It would have been nice if it had more action and it was a little bit bigger and such. But like I said, it is one of the few Steve James movies where he got to star. The other movie, Riverbend, is not a good movie, but that one's on Blu-ray. This one is not officially on DVD. I do have a bootleg DVD that came out that has this on there. It was a multi-movie pack. Also had Mercenary Fighters, which was a Canon film, but they cut out the Canon film logo in it, and they're all VHS transfers. But yeah, just one of those bootlegs that kind of snuck out there. But technically, this is not officially on DVD. I think there's a laser disc for this as well. I do have to get. I don't think I have it. I think I have to pick that up. But again, I do like the movie for what it is. It's just a shame that Steve James never got to star in a lot of movies, which I know bothered him. He always felt, like he didn't want to be the token black guy, which I think sadly he was in a lot of his movies. That's why he stopped doing American Ninja movies, because you would have thought after American Ninja 3 they would have made him the star, but they didn't do that, and that's why he never did 4. And then I think by the time they did 5, he was sick, so he didn't do it. But he just didn't want to be the black sidekick, and I get it, I understand. And he was the better martial artist anyway, because Michael Dudikoff didn't have any training before the movie. So there you go. And then got some Rucker Hauer titles here. So first up, we've got another Star Maker and RNG, which again was pre-Anchor Bay. Gold Series Collector's Edition for Wanted Dead or Alive. Which, same thing, I think it has the trailer before the movie, and then there's interviews with the demolition expert, Rucker Hauer, Gene Simmons, Robert Guillaume, and there's a Rucker Hauer film retrospective, which I'm not sure exactly what that is because I haven't watched this in forever, but I don't think, to my knowledge, the interviews on here made it to the Blu-ray release from Kino Lorber, so that is another reason to hold on to this. But also, this movie's awesome, so I love Wanted Dead or Alive. We already covered Split Second earlier because it was in the clamshell or the harder case or whatever. And then I do have Blind Fury, because Blind Fury is awesome as well. So there's that. And I don't know why they put a ninja in his sunglasses, because he does not fight a ninja in this movie. Yes, Sho Kosugi is in the film. He is the ninja, but he doesn't wear the ninja costume, so I don't know why they did that. Oh well. But for those of you that don't know, Blind Fury is the American remake of the Zaitauchi movies, but unfortunately did not do that well, so we did not get a franchise out of all the movies that Rucker Hauer did. I would love to have gotten sequels to both of these, but unfortunately neither of them did that well, and it didn't happen. But there you go. And then last but certainly not least in this segment, we will talk about Extreme Prejudice, which is my favorite Walter Hill film and probably my favorite Nick Nolte movie, to be honest. But absolute classic modern Western, well, modern being 1987, but you get the picture. But always really enjoyed this movie. Solid film, classic movie. I recently watched this about a month or two ago, and just ate it up, man. Same with actually watched Wanted Dead or Alive, Blind Fury, and Split Second a few months ago as well, and I just forgot, like, damn, these are really fun movies. Why can't all movies be like this again? I don't know. Alright, so that will be it for part 15, part 2, or part 15 and a half, or whatever. I will not delete the footage by accident this time. When we pick back up in part 16, actually that is perfect how I did that. Excellent. We'll get into the last of the top shelf here. I am going to take a little bit of a breather, put some of this stuff back up, and we'll get into that. And honestly, we'll probably get done. Yeah, honestly, I'll probably get done the rest of the top shelf in the next part, and then we'll move to the bottom. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, as always, thank you for watching. Take care, and we'll talk to you guys on the next segment. See you.